All right, let's jump right into Proverbs 13. Now, when you think of the book of Proverbs, you might picture a random jumble of wise sayings, but chapter 13 hits different. Think of it more like a map, a practical guide that lays out two very clear paths for life, one that leads to fulfillment and another that leads straight to ruin. So today, we're going to walk through that map together. Now, to make sure this journey is as clear as possible, we're mostly going to use a modern translation, the NLT, which is the New Living Translation. But check out the comparison. On one hand, you've got the beautiful, poetic King James Version from way back when. On the other hand, you have the super direct New Living Translation. The language changes over centuries, but the core wisdom, it's exactly the same. It all boils down to this. Your words have the power to protect your life or to absolutely wreck it. It's this timeless wisdom made easy to grab onto that we're exploring. So, here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the foundation of it all, how wisdom really just starts with listening. Then we'll see how that simple act gives incredible power to our words. After that, we'll dig into how our work and our wisdom shape our financial lives. And finally, we'll pull it all together and see how these small daily choices lead to two totally different destinies. Before we proceed, let's read the chapter in its entirety.
The following is Proverbs chapter 13, verses 1 through 25 from the New Living Translation. A wise child accepts a parent's discipline. A mocker refuses to listen to correction. Wise words will win you a good meal, but treacherous people have an appetite for violence. Those who control their tongue will have a long life. Opening your mouth can ruin everything. Lazy people want much but get little, but those who work hard will prosper. The godly hate lies. The wicked cause shame and disgrace. Godliness guards the path of the blameless, but the evil are misled by sin. Some who are poor pretend to be rich. Others who are rich pretend to be poor. The rich can pay a ransom for their lives, but the poor won't even get threatened. The life of the godly is full of light and joy, but the light of the wicked will be snuffed out. Pride leads to conflict. Those who take advice are wise. Wealth from get-rich-quick schemes quickly disappears. Wealth from hard work grows over time. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a dream fulfilled is a tree of life. People who despise advice are asking for trouble. Those who respect a command will succeed. The instruction of the wise is like a life-giving fountain. Those who accept it avoid the snares of death. A person with good sense is respected. A treacherous person is headed for destruction. Wise people think before they act. Fools don't, and even brag about their foolishness. An unreliable messenger stumbles into trouble, but a reliable messenger brings healing. If you ignore criticism, you will end in poverty and disgrace. If you accept correction, you will be honored. It is pleasant to see dreams come true, but fools refuse to turn from evil to attain them. Walk with the wise and become wise. Associate with fools and get in trouble. Trouble chases sinners, while blessings reward the righteous. Your good people leave an inheritance to their grandchildren, but the sinner's wealth passes to the godly. A poor person's farm may produce much food, but injustice sweeps it all away. Those who spare the rod of discipline hate their children. Those who love their children care enough to discipline them. The godly eat to their heart's content, but the belly of the wicked goes hungry. End of chapter.
Okay, let's start at square one. This chapter makes a really bold claim. Before you can act wisely, before you can even speak wisely, you have to learn how to listen. This is the absolute bedrock, the foundation of the wise path. The very first verse just lays it all out there. This isn't about being smart versus dumb. No, it's about being teachable versus being unteachable. A wise person is open to being corrected, but a mocker is someone who not only ignores advice but actually laughs at it. They're completely closed off. This single choice is the fork in the road, and it's where everything starts. And what's so fascinating here is how the chapter lays out the consequences step by step. It's a clear chain reaction. Verse 10 says that pride, that refusal to listen, is what directly causes fights. Then verse 13 says, if you hate advice, you're literally just asking for trouble. And verse 18 brings it home. Ignore criticism, and you'll end up in poverty and disgrace. And that's not just about money, but about your reputation, your relationships, everything. But the flip side is just as predictable. If you take advice, you'll become wise and you'll be honored for it. And you know, this isn't about being boxed in by a bunch of rules. Wise advice is presented as a cage. It's called a life-giving fountain. Just think about that image for a second. It's refreshing. It sustains you. It's a protective force that helps you spot and avoid the hidden traps, the snares of death that are out there. So this whole idea of listening and learning flows right into our next big theme, words. In Proverbs, words are not just empty air. They're like currency. They are powerful tools that you use to build your reality for good or for bad. I mean, you can't get a clearer contrast than this. Verse 2 says, wise words literally win you a good meal. Why? Well, think about it. Careful, honest speech builds trust. It gets you business deals. It calms down arguments. It builds a solid reputation. But careless words can ruin everything. They shatter trust. And as the verse says, can even lead to an appetite for violence. Your words create the world you live in. And here's the crucial point. What you say is a direct window into who you are. The text makes a straight line from your words to your character. Good people hate lies. Wicked people use words to cause shame. Wise people, well, they just think before they open their mouths. But fools, they don't just mess up. They actually brag about it. Your speech is basically an advertisement for what's going on inside. All right, so from what we say, let's move on to what we do. This next section is all about how those two paths of wisdom and foolishness play out when it comes to work, money, and building a life that actually lasts. Okay, here's a line that I think hits home for a lot of us. Verse 4 starts by nailing a universal feeling, desire without the discipline to back it up. The lazy person here isn't someone with no dreams. They want much, but because that desire isn't connected to action, they get little. And bam, right away, the text gives us the other side of the coin. It's the simple, direct solution. It's not enough to just want something. The path to actually prospering is paved with hard work. Diligence is the engine that turns dreams into reality. And that brings us to one of the most powerful verses in the whole chapter, which says, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a dream fulfilled is a tree of life. This isn't just about finances. It's about the emotional weight of wanting something that never seems to happen. But that second part, a dream fulfilled, is a tree of life. That ties everything together. That feeling of fulfillment, that tree of life, is the fruit that grows from all that diligent work and wise living we've been talking about. So this is where it all comes together. All these choices we make about listening, about speaking, about working, they're not just random, isolated events. They are steps we take day in and day out along one of two paths. And each path has a very, very different destination. But before we get to the final destination, verse 20 gives us this game-changing piece of advice. The path you end up on is hugely influenced by who you walk it with. The people you surround yourself with matter a lot. Hang out with wise people and you can't help but become wiser. Associate with fools and, well, you're eventually going to find trouble. Your community helps shape your destiny in every single area of life. From how we learn to how we talk to how we handle our money, there are two completely opposite ways to go. One path consistently leads to good things, stability, growth, joy, satisfaction. The other path, the one built on pride and shortcuts, always ends in ruin, disappointment, and hunger. It's a total contrast from the very first step to the final outcome. So what keeps you on the right path? Verse 6 gives us this awesome metaphor. Your character, what it calls godliness, it acts like a guardrail. It's not about being perfect, but about having an integrity that guides your choices and keeps you from driving off a cliff. On the other hand, it's the lack of that solid character that misleads people and lets them wander off into destruction. In the end, this ancient chapter isn't really just describing two kinds of people out there. It's describing a series of daily choices that are available to every single one of us, and how we decide to listen, how we choose to speak, and how we approach our work. And so, the question it leaves us with isn't about them. It's about us. It's personal. Which path are you building today? Before we sign off, a sincere thank you and shout out to all our listeners for tuning in to another episode of Unseen Yet Unstoppable. Whether you're working out, driving, or just intentionally dedicating time to deepen your understanding of the Word, we appreciate you. Please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. We look forward to catching you next time for another deep dive. Peace.